Follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/AchieveRadio.
Hi, this is Anne-Marie. Hello, Joe. How are you?
Hi, Anne-Marie. I'm fine. How are you doing?
Surviving the snow, surviving the cold, and mostly just kind of shocked today. Had kind of a weird situation.
Really? What happened?
Well, I was looking out on my porch, and I'm an animal rescuer, so to say. We are we have a lot of wild animals and things that we feed and rescue here, and there's been a wild cat on the back porch. You know what a Ming Coon is?
No.
They were brought over by the Vikings, and they're one of the biggest cats there are. There's contests on who can have the biggest Ming Coon cat. Some of them get about, I don't know, the size of a small child, maybe a 3-year-old. And they're just almost more than a person can hold. Anyway, one was in our back porch. Dark gray with emerald green eyes. Beautiful. So, very shy, a little wild. And so I thought, well, okay. I'll feed you since the snow's been so bad. And he wouldn't come close. He always went behind the couch on the what do they call that? The cattery, the back porch cattery, and the Catio, and
the Catio.
Yeah. So then I looked out there today, and I was talking to him, and realized his twin was sitting right on the edge. And so now we've got these two cats that are huge. I mean, they're just huge. And I'm going, oh my God, what now? I mean, I could trap them. I'm just at that point where I'm going, it's good to save animals, but there comes a point where you have to realize that you can only take on so much, But it has been so nasty, so cold. A lot of animals are doing things that they wouldn't normally do to survive these days.
Well, we don't have snow, but it's very frigid outside, and it's very windy and very icy and very frozen. It's very unpleasant.
We have snow up to our hips.
Well, we had some rain not long ago, and so now all of it's like this frost all over everything. It's really something.
You guys must have quite a because our snow is up.
We have a heated bird bath in the backyard for them, because they not really. No. Our neighbors have a bunch of bird feeders out, so we don't bother with that.
We feed everything. So, we go through about 40 pounds.
But we
40 pounds of bird feed. Yeah. Well, it sounds like you're getting a lot warmer weather than we are. Today I thought we would talk about clearing spaces. There's a lot of situations where people are suddenly hit with a lot of negative energy, or even in a hotel room that you don't know who committed suicide in that room, or who, really, or bad vibes, or things like that happen
Sure.
in hotels, or just if you've had a divorce in your own personal house, or just a lot of negative illness and stuff. So today I thought that we would kind of talk about some of the ways to properly. There are a lot of people that clear, but they're not really familiar with what they're doing. And I wanted to
Well,
tell
yeah.
I wanted to tell everybody today I am offering um, a bag of very good quality white sage clearing stuff for anybody that likes our a contest, okay? Or we can do it with calls, but either
Oh, you're
call
doing a
in,
giveaway, are you?
huh?
Are you
Yeah,
doing
I'm
it?
going to do a
This
giveaway.
is a
It's
giveaway?
a
Oh
giveaway.
my.
So it's a giveaway of a baggie of
While
white
supplies last.
white sage. Yeah, I have a pound of it. I ordered a pound of white sage from the
Mhm.
Native American tribes, and so I'm offering a baggie of white sage, very good quality white sage, to anyone who calls into the show or who will do a contest or who gives us a like on our video. And I will pick the winner after the show. So when I contact you, please be prepared to give me your address so I can send it to you. So that's that. So what do you have to
Cool.
say? Do you have to say anything about the proper
Well,
way of white saging or saging?
well, I was looking at this article that you shared with me earlier, and they have their own procedures that they recommend. And first of all, they say select your sage because you can find it bundled at any health food store. They say although white sage is the most purifying, some bundles include a mix. Some have lavender and other things which could be uplifting, and it's fine. You could also grow your own from seed. Um, Let it dry completely if you do so, and but you can buy it bundled. You need a smudge bowl, and they said, oh, this person used an abalone shell. It could be something. Use something heat proof. It's something that's not going to burn really, and be careful with it. Um, Fire safe vessels, they say, like clay pots. And I will say, if those get hot, like pottery gets hot, that will crack over time. So you have to be careful when you're burning sage, when you're burning this herb. And basically, you can light a smudge stick, okay? And it's kind of like you should open a window, because it is smoky. So they recommend here gather your feathers. Now, here's what they have to say about this. Since feathers come from birds, they complement the ethereal element of the cleansing process and help spread sage over a greater surface area. So I suppose you wave them around, or they symbolize it, you know. I suppose there's a practical purpose for that. So, or it's just part of the ceremony, depending on how you want to go about this. Um, they do say be intentional, and of course that matters with all things. Before lighting the sage, be clear about what you're looking to release or bring into your life and space. So you clear your mind and allow yourself to enter a meditative state. Say a brief prayer of thanks, invoking God, the universe, or spirit to guide your use of the sage, and to remove any unseen energies that no longer serve your highest and greatest good. So think about it. The whole purpose of it is to cleanse your space of negativity. And of course, open a window. Um,
I don't always
According
open a
to
window. Do you always
Well,
open a window?
now they say, now here's the reason why they say this. Although many love the smell of sage, according to Native American tradition, life-sucking energies and people carrying unseen negative entities in their aura are repelled by it. Give bad vibes a space to flee by cracking open a window or door before you begin and a few minutes after to help clear the space. You may also want to avoid smudging right next to a fire detector, or you could temporarily disable it before smudging and reset it, of course, immediately afterwards, because that is safer. They say sage is slow to light, so use a lighter or long wood matches to allow time for dry leaves to ignite. I've always heard don't use lighters for this, for any kind of like a ceremony. It's always best to use something like the wood matches or regular matches. There's just something about it that's better. I don't know why that is, but I say, if you could avoid it, don't use a big, not specifically the brand, but just don't use a lighter. Of course, sage can be passed through a person's energy field or aura to clear negative energy. I suppose you could wave the sage around yourself while it's lightly smoldering to cleanse that space. And
To
when you're
cleanse
through,
yourself.
yes, to cleanse yourself, and then you safely extinguish it, cover it, and let it use a snuff it out. Just cover it with something so it just goes out. And then you store it later when it's cool. Now the thing is, some people, of course, cannot have anything burning in their home, due for some medical reasons or any reason at all. You can diffuse sage oil without burning it by having wooden sticks that have been dipped in it, and then just setting it into a vase and just letting it permeate the air. Okay. That there are some types of methods like that where it's just the aroma and it's not burning. You can do that if you cannot have anything burning in your house. I say that's fine, and I like to say with your aura, and if you're in an apartment building, you have to be careful, like where you put your bed. You don't want it to be on a shared wall with another neighbor. You want to be out. You want to be on the outer wall away, or just another inner wall in your own apartment, but not the shared wall.
Interesting. I've never thought of that.
Well, because there is more of you. I mean, supposedly the aura is much greater. And you're going to overlap, and you're going to pick up on this other person's aura, and vice versa. And you don't need that. So what you want to do is, you can't do this in a hotel room, of course, because a lot of times those beds are not movable. However, in your apartment, just in your whole living arrangement, your living spaces and the spaces where you're resting and the places that are the most personal should be away from the shared walls and more fanned outward to whatever's outside. Just kind of have that space. Also, that's really important, actually. It's very unpleasant many times in hotel rooms, those beds are attached onto the same wall, and and sometimes neighbors you get a neighbor that is noisy, and you're going to hear that. It's just very
especially when
unpleasant.
he's killing himself or something,
Right. So basically, I mean, it's always really nice, and I know it's old-fashioned, but I loved it when there were closets in between rooms, to kind of have that space, that area where it's nothing but clothes. It's like what do you call it, a cloakroom?
Right.
Or you have like closets blocking. Ideally, in an apartment or shared space, there should be closets on those shared walls so that there's something, but you shouldn't be on that shared wall. I mean, sometimes you might have a shared wall kitchen. That's not too bad. But bedrooms are a problem, really. So that is one of the ways you can cleanse your home. And white sage is what they recommend if you can find it. But there's many blends you could use. Um, that is a choice. What do you think about that, Anne Marie? Are there any other ways besides using sage that are? Have you used any, or have you heard of any? I was just
Um,
wondering.
I have been I watch sometimes Ghost Adventures, and I've noticed
Sure.
that there are different ways that people do cleanse. One person was using some kind of bark, but I think that for me, if I'm using white sage, I prefer to use the leaves, the leaves, rather than the bundle. The bundle
Okay.
lights too slowly, and it goes whoosh when it gets going.
Yeah.
Where the leaves, you can put two or three, and that's what I have to offer as a free gift
Well, that
to
is what I
somebody.
do. Yeah,
Is
I
the
just take a few
leaves.
leaves off. Yeah, I take a few leaves off. I did that when I don't do it all the time. I do it when I first move in,
Mm,
and maybe later for some reason. But actually I don't do that here because we're trying to we're smoke free. It's a smoke free house, really, and we're just trying to keep it very clean.
for me, I sage about every 3 days,
Mm.
because I do it for cat fights and for
Oh.
the animals, because I notice that when the house is saged, the animals are more calm. And so I thought this was interesting. This was
Well,
on
now
energy.
there's another thing that you can do, and it's something I've read about. That they recommend what you do is you put salt
Yes.
into a little cauldron or a little container, glass, natural. If you have any little pottery, you don't have to put a lot in there. You just put some salt in there, some ordinary like sea salt, or if you have the crystals, whatever, the bigger crystal salt, and you just let it sit like in a spot like where you would have candles. Just
Right.
it's not quite an altar, but it is a place where you would have such things, and just let it sit there for for about a week, and then
I
what you do then is that then you rinse it out with water, and while you're rinsing it out with water, you think about all the negativity that's being rinsed away, and all the disease and then everything else, because it's salt and it's a cleansing thing. It's more like a ritual, but I did hear that is one of the things that you can do. So,
I always have I have 3 Himalayan salt lamps that are
mm,
going on constantly. You have to have them on all the time because they'll melt if you don't. But
oh,
that's another thing.
those are
So
interesting.
if
I've never
him
seen one in person.
Yeah, they're very cool, and there's different qualities. I had a friend that was selling the very good quality ones, and I have one in every room. It's just very good for clearing the energy, and the enzymes are supposed to be very positive and uplifting. I thought this article was very interesting on energy
Well,
clearing. It's just a minute,
actually, I
just a
wanted
minute,
to
just a
I'm
minute.
sorry. Do mention where it came from. I just want to say that in case somebody wants to go there and look at it, because I didn't mention it. So,
Okay.
okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, this is
There is a delay. So, yeah.
it says we may look just like physical bodies, but in reality we're all made out of electricity, and we're all giant balls of light or sound that fill and sustain our bodies, but expand beyond them too. And because these balls of energy hold who we are, that electrical energy, that all that stuff that whether it's dark energy or light, everything that we really don't understand. we're all really just big, giant, brilliant, swirling, throbbing, growing, changing balls of electricity. And that because of that, it's very easy to think of there being negative energy out there or maybe spiritual entities. But the most important thing is that energy is like Velcro. It kind of sticks to you. So if you're around somebody that's very negative, even though you don't want to think that that negative energy is hanging like Velcro on you, oftentimes it is. So it says when we think about clearing our space or clearing the electrical energy that comes from other people's attitudes or their electricity, that's what this is all about. And understand that basically what we're talking about is putting your living room through a car wash, putting your energy through a car wash. It releases all the old patterns of thought and helps shift the energy around you. And it also does something to you psychologically. When you clear your space, you're you're kind of putting your mind in a space saying, I reboot myself. So it's you may be rebooting the energy, but because the energy around us and our energy meshes all the time, when we change our attitude, it often changes the attitude around us of the energy. So clearing is not only just for clearing the spirit of something else around us, it also clears us. And it helps us to be able to set our intention to have a cleared space, reboot ourselves, and it's really very good. Now, prayer does that. Um, you know, beautiful music does that. And in fact, in my
And a little bit
studio,
of was it
feng
feng
shui.
shui?
Yep,
Feng shui
in
helps
my
a little bit of flow.
Yep. In my
Hmm.
studio, I at all times have classical and native flute music playing on an iPod. It just repeats itself. And it may be monotonous, but on the other hand, it's that kind of music that never has an ending. It just flows. So I do that because my studio has had some people that were not very pleasant in it. So for me
Mm.
to be able to clear that energy and keep the flow going is, I know that it makes a difference because I can tell from my cats, dogs are the same way.
Hmm.
If I don't have the music on, the cats won't go in the studio.
Oh,
But if the music's on, it's like the energy is flowing, the salt lamps are on, the music's on. I sage every 3 days. It just creates a lot of good energy. And especially if you do empathic work. It's very important if you're an empath and you're soaking up energy anyway
hmm. Right,
that's velcroing onto you. You
right.
want to be sure that you are taking that velcroed energy and clearing it once you get home into your space or your motel or wherever you go.
Right.
So I was going to go into the room here, and we have Anita in the call room. We have Susan from Massachusetts, Emily from Connecticut, Melissa from South Carolina, and Alyssa from
Hmm.
Oregon. So why don't we take Susan from Massachusetts? Anita was our last reading and last show. So I'm going to wait for her. And Susan from Massachusetts says, hello, Anne-Marie and Joseph. My son, Lane, has some medical issue, drug related. Oh gosh, do you see him finally overcoming this year? Thank you. Okay, please understand, we can tell you where we see his energy, but we are not medical intuitives, but we sure can tell you where Lane's energy seems to be going this year. What do you have, Joseph?
Well, I do see that the cards recommend here. Well, I do see justice as the present day, as reflected in the present day, and it's upside down. And basically, what I see here is I need to be very patient. You just need to be very patient and deal with a lot of matters in the manner that is uh, like you have to be professional here. Seriously, I do see that there are some issues, and I'm not sure quite how serious it is, but the cards do show that this is something that is. This could have even be involved with some broken laws. And so there is much to deal with and much to sort out. I do see this in the present day as reflected by justice upside down. And that's how the card landed. I do see that uh, basically in the past things used to be okay. And along, you know, as far as finances or possessions or monetary things, I don't see a struggle in the past, but I do see this very odd, unpleasant situation in the present day, and I do
Mm-hmm.
see that it is something that is going to last, you know, and I do see that you're just going to feel like you're not really going to be sure if you ever made a right decision involving some matter, but you are being told that, you know, you also have to like be aware that you don't punish yourself for the decisions that you make. You have to understand that you do the best you can with what you know at the time, and to look back at it and to be self-critical. It just makes you feel bad because you have to realize you didn't know, nobody else did either, and if you had, it wouldn't have happened, so don't think about it. You have to only remember like the lesson, but don't beat yourself up. And also to time, this will take time, and actually with time and patience, it will heal, and love will mean a lot here, but you have to be very patient and you have to deal with it, and but your patience will make this work, and it will take time and it will heal. That's all I got here though. So what do you say, Anne Marie?
I would agree with you wholeheartedly. What I see, Susan, it shows the last 2 months, maybe longer. Well, actually, I'm going to say, like Joseph in the past, I show he had no real problem. It's only this month and next month that I'm showing him refusing to communicate. This is the card of communication. These are spiritual affirmation cards. And so it shows communication, but it's reversed, which means that he refuses to communicate at this time in any way about his problem. It also shows that, and this is the card of affluence, which is also about being in one with your self-confidence, and it's upside down, which indicates that not only does he not want to communicate about this drug issue, he is in no, his confidence and his self-esteem is at an all-time low. But here's the great news I have. That was for March and April. When I look at May, it shows he suddenly has ambition, and that means that at that time he seems to not be procrastinating on his problem. He's not being as negative in May. In June, I have the card of the universe, which indicates that the universe will show him the right path to take to reach his goals with this problem. And so that was March, April, May, June. And so June and July, it shows his sense of security coming back. And when he feels more secure, he's more willing to invest in his problem. So like Joseph, it's not that his problem ends, but he seems to be taking more steps to try to eliminate it. His self-esteem seems better as the warmer weather starts to come. So I think you can have some hope, and definitely, like Joseph says, You want to be patient. Not everyone has the same way to quit smoking. Not everyone
Right.
has the same way to quit drinking. And we have to remember and coffee. We have to remember that all drugs in every way are an addiction. And that just like coffee, cigarettes, and alcohol, that pharmaceutical drugs or harder core drugs, they take patience, they can, but in their case, they can devastate a home more. But I would say be patient, like Joseph says. I think he's going to resolve this on his own. And that's what
Oh
I
yeah.
see.
The thing is to see he's been given a chance to see just how unpleasant it is and doesn't want to repeat it. And that's why these things are always. It's like it needs to be unpleasant in order for this not to happen again. Basically, is what it is. And some people just don't get it, and it just keeps getting more unpleasant until they finally get it. And then sometimes they don't. They just never get it.
Yep, and then another thing,
Anyway,
when I pull the angel card on him, it's the angel card of, whoops, let's see if I can get this. Spread your wings. So I feel that he will spread his wings, and he will find a way to resolve this problem. And that's his angel card for the future. He will spread his wings. He will resolve this in his own way. Okay,
yeah.
we have.
Yeah, he doesn't want it to happen again. Yeah.
No. Emily
No, he
from
doesn't.
Connecticut. Yeah. Emily from Connecticut says, I have been unemployed for about 5 months now, and I'm looking to do some spiritual
Oh.
type work, but obviously have little funds right now. Do you see me finding work, or maybe someone who will help me fund a place to do spiritual lectures? Blessings, Anne-Marie and Joseph. Well, Emily, I don't know what your background is in spirituality for me to look at that. Joseph, can you look at that for her? She
Well,
wants to do spiritual lecture work.
okay. Well, I do see that you are someone who's always worked well with others, and I do see that you are very good with. You have a very good balance and control over your own life, so much so that you are actually in a position um, to give ideas and share and to teach what you have learned. So I do see that there is some spiritual background there represented by temperance, which is a lovely angel, by the way, usually in my illustration that I see here. And I do see at the present day that there is a Knight of Cups, and this is a romantic type of person, calm. And actually, this is someone who makes very heart-based decisions. Could be a Taurus or an Earth sign, because it's very, very. There's an earthy quality here. Um, I do see that they're sensitive and idealistic. I do see possibly that there's a merger here of sorts, or a new commitment or a new level that you have just reached or have probably happening right now or just happened or is about to. It just keeps growing. And I do see that you will forge ahead with this venture. I mean, this person's a part of it. He's one of the reasons why it's going to work well, because he does provide that happy sort of feeling that enables you to do this, and having that support and go ahead with it. And I do see that with some careful decision making on your part and with your experience, I do see that some creativity would be needed. Maybe another person involved would be helpful that can interject something to it to kind of bring it, I would say, I hate to say the word, make it more accessible to the public, to make it
Connections.
more
Connections.
connection-wise.
You need
Yeah.
connections
Yes.
before you can get into the spiritual
Yes.
speaking world.
Yes. But I do see that this is something definitely worth working for. As the cards say this, and it is, yeah, you can do this. It's going to take work, but you have support in doing this, so that's very helpful. That's what I see. And I can't give you a time of when it will happen. I do see the Two of Wands that could represent two. I do see that you're working more on this possibly within the next 2 months, but it doesn't really tell me if it will like work or anything. It says it will work. It is something that will work if you keep working at it. It is definitely something worth working at. But, all this is slow going, It does take some time. So it could be even 2 years for all we know. I mean, but I don't see ahead for these things very well like that. I don't go usually beyond a year. So definitely it seems to be a good idea according to this. It shows very positive things for it. All gained by really working at it and some careful planning and some ideas and connections, definitely. Maybe tying into some creative things so that, or maybe perhaps linking to them so that people find you easier. That's something too. Okay, Anne-Marie,
Yes.
what do you think?
Well, the first thing that I pulled up, and I have the card of self-worth, which shows its worthiness, but it was upside down for the past, which shows that your self-esteem and your confidence level was at an all-time low. But as far as spiritual speaking or speaking publicly, I'm showing that you have a magnetic essence, a magnetic personality, and that you seem to attract people to you, and that's sure a good quality to be able to do public speaking. The next thing that I show is that you're very generous. So because you're very generous, it says that it allows others to be generous with you. And the next thing I see is that you're very motivated. So if you're motivated to do spiritual speaking, understand that if you're truly serious, there we go, if you're truly serious about that, people will feel that about you, and I think that they will help you along the path of public speaking. The next thing I say is, what is it that you visualize for yourself? Because visualization is the first step in manifesting. And so we have visualization. Make a mental picture of the goal that you want, simple and to the point, and then visualize it, because that's going to be how you explain what you want to speak on. It's going to be a way to show people that you know your stuff. It's also going to be something that you can develop perhaps in blogging, spiritual blogging, things that will help you gain an audience and get some kind of contacts out there, because connections are everything in the spiritual world. I've been at this since 2001 professionally. I've been doing it all my life, but it's taken me years and years to be able to, I work for 2 psychic lines, Keen and Best Psychics Directory, as well as professionally reading for my own private readings. And I'll tell you what it takes. Marketing. I spend over $350 a month marketing. I also work for 2 major companies, which helps me get my name out there. So understanding that there's no easy way into the spiritual community, and maybe even harder than it is to get a job. But I would say start out with public speaking, free public speaking to any place that you feel you could communicate how you've lifted yourself out of self-esteem issues, how others can do it. And that's what I see. All right. We have Melissa. Melissa's from South Carolina. My funds are quickly depleting, and I can only see that by this by May this year, I will have to pack my things and live in my van for a while. How do you and
Oh,
Joseph see things working out for me over the next 6 months? I really have no place to move to. You. Do you see any type of help coming my way for a place to live? Boy, I sure hope your van is in good shape. Because even to live in a van, you have to have a good tune-up or something. Okay, what do you have, Joseph?
oh. Well, I do see that. I do see that in the recent past, that there's just you just were just emotionally exhausted. I do see that you've been depressed, and it could be that you have been focusing on the things that you do not have, and that is represented by the Four of Cups, and that is something that will always be something that will bring us down. Is to look at what we've lost rather than a situation that we're currently in, which is living in a van, which is not very good, or about to. I do see that you have good management skills and that you work well with others, as shown by the Temperance card. And I do see that you're going to work through this. And I do see that you actually I do see that you're able to do something like teach or help others or possibly assist or in a position where your knowledge will teach others. So I'm thinking that there's a possibility of such a position if you have these skills or have a degree. I do see that you might possibly even end up like maybe working at an educational institution of sorts, if even because they do hire staff that is not educated, not that doesn't have degrees. There's all sorts of different kinds of people that work for school systems or colleges and universities. There are people that do have these jobs because they have experience in some college. Not everybody has a master's degree or a bachelor's degree. And you can, if you know what you know, and depending on the competition, the cards are suggesting perhaps a position in one of these places. I do see that in the near future, I do see possibly a boss or somebody, a very sharp male, very good leadership skills, kind of a strong sort, and not overly talkative or expressive, but this is somebody who has great ideas and he's a good guy. This could be your boss or someone who's going to be very helpful. And this is coming in very soon. He's the King of Swords, and lucky for you, he landed right side up, because when they're upside down, they are awful. So this is somebody who uses his skills for good, you know. So this is somebody who, this might be your next supervisor coming in very soon. It could be a place that you've already applied for, but basically whatever you're doing, keep doing it, because this is going to work out. So if you have been looking, if you have been putting them in, if you still have resumes to get out there, get them out there, because just do what you're doing, keep it up. If you're looking, do it. And I do see that you're going to have some possibility here. And it's all going to happen, fairly soon. You know, within the next, time is a difficult thing, but I am seeing this rather quick, really. I do. Probably within a month or so, yeah. What do you think, Anne Marie, about
Well,
time?
if there's anybody that needs an angel reading, it sure is Melissa. So the first
Oh,
angel that
yeah,
I picked up
definitely.
was Archangel Uriel, that says, brilliant idea. So it says, let me see if I can bring this up here. This is the time to take action on your brilliant ideas. That means that if you have an idea to expand yourself, whether it's in something that, like Joseph says, educational, or whether it's just the ability to do something creative with your life. You have right now is when Archangel Uriel is with you, and take action on those brilliant ideas. The next thing I get is Archangel Ezekiel, which says, notice the loving guidance you hear inside your mind or from other people around you. And that would be that you are very clairaudient right now, clairaudience, which means that basically this is the time to take action on those ideas and that intuition that you're feeling. You are not only going to have great ideas, but your intuition is going to be soaring before you hit that van. And the next one is spread your wings. Spread your wings, which means basically that the timing is perfect for going on new ideas and expanding yourself. Maybe this leaving this home and getting in your van is going to take you to something that is way more perfect. Obviously, no one wants to live in their van, but if you leave yourself open, and if you leave your intuition open, and if you follow the guidance that I sometimes call it autopilot. Sometimes I think autopilot, which is the same as synchronicity. Those synchronistic moments where we are led to places, to people, to connections that can better our lives with ideas they have or that connect with us. I think that this is where you're headed. And that's what I see, Melissa. So pay attention to that. All right, we have Alyssa from Oregon. She says, hello, Anne-Marie and Joseph. If time allows, I would love an angel reading for the next 6 months or another type of reading of your choice. Thank you so much. Many blessings to you both. Joseph?
Well, I do see the King of Cups. And I do see that this is somebody who this could be seen as a guardian angel or someone with these qualities because he's a very fatherly sort of person. I don't know which one it would be, but I do see it as a person that has always been an influence in your past. And I do see that as a person, you do have this ability to see things through the eyes of a child. You do seem to have a childlike way in some ways, and that is something is a wonderful quality. However, sometimes this is not a realistic view of the world. Unfortunately, you might be a little bit rosier than it really is, and sometimes you get disappointed when you do see reality. I do see that you need to look where you're going. Basically, it seems like you're prone to being accident prone, and I'm seeing it happen because you're not paying attention, and you need to kind of like get more focused, and that will help you out. Actually, it is a wonderful carefree direction once you know what you're doing. But if you're not looking where you're going, and if you tend to just be like always daydreaming, you'll find yourself having just all sorts of accidents on even in metaphorically, even financially and romantically. If you're not paying attention, you're just going to walk right off a cliff. And so you have to really watch it. So I do see that in the future, I do see you making some choices, and there are many choices to make, and only one is correct. And that's why you need to pay attention in the present day, because this will affect your decision-making process in the future, which will involve something very important. And it has to do with something very emotional, represented by swords, because these are the things that get us in the heart and in the mind and our emotions. So I do see that you need to be Um, you need to be aware, and then you will deal with it just fine. But some knowledge is needed, and you need to pay attention in the present day about something and the future. So I will just say that future advice by this card is that you, even though it will be your first instinct that you could handle it by yourself, like, oh, I no problem, I'll deal with it. Well, actually, what you need to do is you need to ask somebody who knows this stuff, whatever it is, and somebody who has dealt with it before, has experience, and has been successful, so they know what they talk about. So they will be the ones that you should see in the near future. And
All
I'd say
right.
with sevens, I'd say over the next 7 weeks probably, because this is a process, but it's not going to be a long one. So that's why you need to pay attention now. People are saying things to you, and maybe you're listening to all the good stuff, but you're not reading between the lines. And that's what you need to do. Even with information that you find on the internet, it is not always reputable. Always check your footnotes and always check your sources, and read really, and stay away from things. I mean, read both sides of the issues, because and stay away from anything that is just simply trying to sell you a product. you
Joseph,
know
we're running out of time. I'm going to give her a little bit of a angel reading. Is
all
that all
righty.
right? Okay.
So I'm done. Yeah, that's
Okay.
good.
All right. So the first card that I get, the angel card that I get for you on this, Alyssa, is Archangel Jophiel. It says, clear your space and do some feng shui. That goes along with Joseph's watch out
Yeah,
for what your
focus.
environment, and focus, and maybe you won't trip around so much, or maybe you won't be accident prone. Clear your space and do some feng shui. So there that is. Clear your space. That's the first angel. The second angel I got for you, Alyssa, was um, nurturing, the card, and this is the Archangel Gabriel. And this is nurture yourself. Really, really, really. You're a beautiful person. You do a wonderful job nurturing everybody, but make sure that you nurture yourself as well. Baby yourself. Be spoiled. Spoil yourself rotten. This is the time to think about that, as well as how well you fix and take care of everybody else, okay? The last thing that I have for you is Archangel Samphron, and it's gifts from God are coming your way. Gifts from God. So what that says is that your karma is great, and that I believe that you will have amazing gifts from God for the fact that you nurture so beautifully. Just make sure, girlfriend, that you feng shui your space, clear your energy, and listen to this again, and make sure that you do some sage clearing or whatever it takes to not only make your feng shui your space, but clear your energy. And that's what your angel reading is. We have 2 minutes and 13 cents. I would like to wish Bill a happy birthday. I guess
Oh,
that
happy birthday, Bill.
Russ says that he wanted to wish Bill a happy birthday, a happy late birthday. So we want to do the same thing. And
Do we have any sound
Arlene,
effects for that? No.
I don't think so. If we do, I can't
Oh,
find them.
no,
Yeah,
no
yeah.
noisemakers or anything, or cheers,
Um,
or
I would just wait. Applause. Yay!
happy birthday
Yay
music.
for Bill! Yay for
Yay.
Bill! Yay for Bill! All right. So we have Arlene from Pennsylvania. Hi to both of you. Is there romance in the next year? Yes or no? Just one card. Yes or no?
Yes, there is. He's a guy that he's kind of like, almost like, he's really well disciplined, like a soldier sort, or someone who might be,
Ooh.
maybe he's a cop or a fireman, but he's somebody who is very confident, and I do see that he could be an engineer, or he's responsible, and he's somebody moving in pretty quick. He's the Knight of Swords, and he
And
uses his powers for good.
I have the Page of Cups, which can
Oh, an
indicate,
invitation.
yep, and invitation. It can also represent a young, spirited, creative soul. So maybe he's a young, spirited, uh, creative soldier, or somebody that is
Well,
very protective
absolutely.
of you.
Somebody with
Protective.
a
So
sensitive
bye.
side.
See you next week,
Bye-bye.
Joseph. Bye.
Okay, great. Bye-bye. Thanks.
Psychic radio, holistic radio, spiritual radio. This is AchieveRadio.com. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/AchieveRadio.